you're fighting another grown man in your underwear in front of your wife. And like,
I think you have the award for the most bizarre finishes to every fight I've ever seen. You are a fucking magnet for illegal elbows to the back of your head.
I know the rules of MMA. I'm an MMA nerd, right? So how can you exploit the sport? Okay, if I lose a little piece of me. The mental, the stress, the anxiety, the instability.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say this. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. I hate MMA fans.
Oh, yeah. Being a legend doesn't mean that you have a good legacy. Mm-hmm. Before every fight, I ask my wife, what's my worst case?
Yeah.
And she's like, you come home, you have 2 kids that love and adore you. You have a wife that loves and adores you. You have a great family. You have great support. And your life's not that much different.
That's why we're recording. Fine, I'll come in and just start introing. We're with Cody Brundage. Welcome back to Rear Naked Truth. Super excited. We already got going, learning more than I even knew about Cody and his wife, Bobby, who's going to be on the pod in a little bit. Also a fighter, also a badass. But just to recap, you have, oh, she's not on yet, but no, she's dated boxers. Now she's married to an MMA fighter. Is that it? The only 3 boyfriends were an MMA fighter, a boxer, and a foreign exchange student?
Those were her only 3 boyfriends. I said, I wish those were her only 3
bro. I'm divorced and we'll be engaged soon enough, Kelly and I. And I feel like, man, I've got enough stories to fill this of past failed relationships.
Bobby was voted most likely to marry for money. Yeah.
You want to hear what I was voted? Most likely to end up on Jerry Springer and most likely to cause a scene.
I like that.
Whatever that means. So I don't know. I think they are, because you're not going on Jerry Springer without, causing a scene. But dude, I'm super pumped to have. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, bro.
Thanks for doing it. I didn't want to pump that one too hard. What's going on with that? Can we say what's going on?
Yeah, so I broke my last fight. First hook I threw, I broke my thumb down at the wrist here. And then I just got 3 screws 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I was hoping to get one more in this year, but I don't think I will. And it's crazy. I broke my left hand.
You've been active as hell.
Hand.
Yeah, I know, man. Can I say that I was watching that from my family's farm in Galena, Illinois, in our little Yamaha side-by-side, because that was the only spot I could get service while I was talking to Kelly on the phone and bitching about that fucking decision.
Yeah, man. It was definitely a bummer for sure. But, it is
dude,
what it is.
I mean, that's been the story though, man. I was talking to DJ the other day about it. I think you have the award for the most bizarre finishes to every fight I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think definitely weirdest career track, just in terms of like the fouls, the overturned decisions, this decision. But I just think not every fighter, but if you're in the sport long enough, you're going to kind of run into stuff like that. I think it's just...
I'm a Bears fan. I know all about unpredictable outcomes.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's 3-2-1 in the last 6, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like this year I've had 3 fights and I'm 1-1-1. And I felt like easily not even like change anything in my fights, but just some judges see things a little bit differently. I could easily be 3-0. So, I mean, that's kind of how it is. And I don't like going to the judges. I'm not really a decision fighter.
You shouldn't
be.
That's
probably why. Because it doesn't seem to ever, you never know what's going to happen. I've seen a lot of my friends lose a lot of money just off of bad decisions. And you don't really ever remember the ones that you get the benefit of the doubt on. Yeah. And it seems like they happen less. I'm sure other people are like, no, they happen a lot, but I don't see them very often. So,
I mean, I've known you for a bit now. I've obviously been friends with a couple other your teammates for a while. I feel like the mental side of your game is the hardest thing to deal with, man.
Oh, for sure.
It's you can't, like, nobody can walk in off the street and just have what it takes to be a fighter, right?
Yeah, I think mentality is huge. And I feel like I put a ton of work into my mental. I feel like physically I can compete with anybody in the world. I think my training, not just me, but I feel like my training partners who train with the best people in the world would tell you I'm probably one of their toughest goes physically. I just think, and it's always kind of been that way in my whole career. Like when I wrestled in school, it was always tough. And I've put a lot of work into it. I've had sports psych since high school. I've had just normal psych. I just signed up for this new course with this guy, Mindset Mike. He's like pretty famous in the UFC, MMA world.
I thought you were going to say Magic Mike, to be honest. I was like, what kind of course is that?
This is a new mental training strategy. No, but it's just kind of like a course. They give you almost like homework like you were in college, and just to work through some exercises and try to figure out how to get a routine or some kind of rhythm. And, nothing's foolproof, but I think the more you work on it, the better it becomes. I think there's a fine line of doing intentional work to improve your mentality and then just saying like, okay, I got to get mentally tough. Because when you just say, oh, I have to be mentally tough, it leaves a lot of ambiguity and it's overwhelming. Like, oh, this is a huge issue. When really it's probably not that big of an issue.
Did you approach swimming the same way?
Swimming?
You didn't know I knew that.
Yeah, swimming was is actually probably one of the mentally hardest sports I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's to me, part of it to me was that it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy swimming. I did it because it was hard. My parents wanted me to do hard things, and I was pretty decent at it. And I mean, it was great to get in shape, like for wrestling, but it's you want to talk about individual sport, like wrestling, you have a team, even though it's individual. MMA, you have a team, even though it's individual. Swimming is so individual, even in practice, like you're not talking to anyone. You're literally just in a lane trying to survive. Yeah. It's all about rhythm. Like and you're alone with your thoughts. You don't have music. It's literally one of the most mentally strenuous things I've ever done. And honestly, I think coming back from this injury, that's something I'm probably going to add to my
swimming.
Yeah. I think I'll add it to my strength and conditioning, maybe like once or twice a week, just because I think it's just different. Mentally, it's just a little bit different.
I hear fighters talk about rhythm all the time, or maybe like another word for it would be almost like a flow state, right?
Yeah,
like trying to achieve this period where you're just sort of reacting and not thinking. Swimming help with that, you think, a bit?
I think so, because I think you have to lock into a rhythm, like or else you'll get tired. Like to avoid, same thing with fighting. Like if you're in that flow state, you're not worried about being tired. You're not worried about getting hit. You're not thinking. You're just like you said, reacting. I think swimming is a big thing of that. If you're thinking about, I'm tired, or you're thinking about the strokes, it's easy to get off rhythm. Like you have a certain breath count depending on what you're doing. It's kind of built in that you have to be in a flow state. I think the cool thing about fighting is like you'll see somebody one fight, they'll be flow state. You'll see in the next fight, you're like, what was that? And then
out of rhythm.
Yeah. It's just definitely one of those things that's like, was it a good night? Was it not a good night? And for me, that's kind of been my whole career. Like I still don't think I've put it together I've had great performances, but I don't think I've put it together to the point where I'm like, okay, that is my potential.
That defines.
I'm sure a lot of people probably feel that way, but
I mean, I'm a viewer, I'm an analyzer, I'm a fan of the sport. I don't think that I've ever competed at an even close to, athletic level that you guys do to understand what that means. But I definitely think that there is a moment that you watch in combat sports where there's just almost like the removal of, over analysis, right? Because it's a chess game, what you guys do, man.
For sure.
Yeah. Speaking of, DJ beat me in chess 3 times this weekend. I should say we're shooting this live from Factory X, which I'm super happy about.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for being willing to, hop into Coach's office and let us do this. I'm really pumped to be here, both Kelly and I. But you were talking about your parents pushing you into swimming a bit to help with other sports. Your mom was an athlete, right?
Yeah.
What did she do?
She did biathlon, which is skiing and shooting. Again, not something that seems very fun to me. Cross country skiing, just a hard thing in general. And she was really successful at that. She was on the U.S. national team. She was really good. She was in the
Olympics, right?
She made the Olympic team, but she never went.
I think that's a massive accomplishment, dude.
Yeah. So she's a beast, man. I think my mom still, even to this day, she's super laser focused. She watches all my fights. My dad, he doesn't watch my fights.
He can't?
No, I think it's just a little bit too much for him. My mom, though, she's a gamer for sure. And she's very intense.
You gotta be to compete at your level, right?
For sure. I think she gets it. She really gets like kind of the competition side of things and how hard it can be. And I call my mom every day. So we talk every single day. She's my best friend other than my
Italian
wife. Dude. She's me and my mom are very close. And I think I get my competitive spirit, all my family. I mean, we all kind of get that from my mom. I think my siblings, my sister played Division I soccer. My brother had offers to go play college soccer. So I come from a super competitive background, just growing up, it was just what we did. And so really kind of forged me to want to continue to compete. Even now, like I go home and it's like, hey, what kind of game can we do to be competitive? Like
what do you don't consider Colorado home, right?
No, I mean, yeah, it's home. I have my kids here, but like here. Home will always be like, where my parents and my siblings are. They all live super close. My uncles and cousins, they were pretty much brothers and sisters.
Is South Carolina?
Yeah. Yeah. They all live within like 2 miles of each other.
Still?
So they were at my house.
You have no accent, by the way. I've never think I've told you that. How did you lose that? Was it on purpose or did you never have one?
So I've been told I had one back in the day. I think maybe when I first met Bobby. Yeah, a little bit.
Bobby's nodding off camera.
Yeah, I think a little bit. There's some old interviews like that my buddy Colin, he pulled up and he was like, dude, who is this person? But my dad's from New York and my mom's from Vermont. So they didn't have like crazy accents growing up. And so it just wasn't really a thing where I was.
Did you go to, I'm trying to flex my research skills here. You went to Newberry?
Newberry College, yeah. Small D2 school. There's like 1,000 kids. 80% of the kids are athletes. I was going to play football and wrestle there and then decided just to wrestle, which looking back, like it's obviously worked out, but I wish I would have done both just for maybe at least 1 year just to do it.
I feel like the journey from wrestling to combat sports is one that, a lot of fighters share.
For sure.
What about like the naughtier side of that? Were you getting in any street fights or anything like that?
So I was running like out of the Newberry wrestling room. I was running like Fight Club out of the Newberry wrestling room, which was definitely interesting. I would like I was the Dana White of Newberry College Fight Club.
You were the Edward Norton.
I would manufacture beef between guys. Like my own roommate. I think the first fight we ever did were two of my roommates. One of my good buddies, his name's Cody Rothermel. We call him Cody. He spells it with an I. We lived together for a long time. He actually moved out to Michigan when I lived in Michigan, lived with us there, and then moved out to Colorado. And he lives out here now. But so he's been around like my whole adult life. But we had another roommate named Nick, and I would just tell them that to be like, "Oh, Cody, Nick said if you guys got in a fight, he would beat your ass." Yeah. And they'd be sitting right next to each other. So clearly didn't say that. And he's like, "No, he didn't." But Nick would be like, "Yeah, I would. I'd beat your ass." So then we had walkout songs. Yeah. We had corners. I was the ref.
You were making it up.
Yeah. So I made sure that the fight ended a draw so we could do part 2, So I was in the promoter game for sure. But
maybe there's something there for after the fight game, right?
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope there's something. But yeah, I mean, we would box the football players. It was just something that I enjoyed doing. Looking back, like how stupid, and luckily no one ever got too badly hurt because it was completely ridiculous.
Is that mentality the same? Like for instance, in the gym where I don't know, I would hope that you guys aren't sharing beef like that. Right. I certainly hope you're not, the administrator or facilitator of beef in the gym. But like, if you're going at it with somebody, I mean, does it ever get that intense, or do you guys try to keep it like lower key, I guess?
Yeah, I think it can. Yeah. It definitely gets intense, I think. I think it just depends. Like, for instance, me and Dustin's been my main training partner when I've been here. We go very hard with each other, but it's never got out of hand because we both know the intention, right? Like, I want you to be prepared for your fight. You want me to be prepared.
But if you can take him down, you would take him down. You slam.
Right. And he would do the same to me. Right. But there's no intention to like, I want to hurt you or you want to hurt me. I think when it gets heated is when it gets kind of like blurred. The intention gets blurred. Okay. I'll never I'm probably, if you ask anyone in here, I go harder than most people. Yeah. I do that for me because I'm like, I need to be prepared to fight, not to spar. Right. Well,
I mean, Dustin said on Friday after sparring that he can't spar with you right now. So, I mean, he was definitely pushed, right? He's like, I had a hard 7 or 10 rounds, whatever he did. But I mean, he called you out as like, he's like, Cody is my guy who pushes me hard. So that speaks to it.
For sure. Which is like, I think it's almost like disrespectful if you don't. If I don't push you as hard as I can, if I'm not trying to beat you, it's almost disrespect. And like, not just disrespect to him. Like, I know his wife, I know his family, I know his friends. They're also my friends. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to look them in the eye and be like, okay, I did everything I could for Dustin. So he does the same for me. But I think it gets heated in our gym. I just think when the lines are blurred, which sometimes they are, where it's like you hit somebody hard and you can tell there's like a change in demeanor and it's like, okay, they're trying to get me back, but not to make me better. They want to get their get back.
Well, like a receipt, like you would say in WWE or whatever.
For sure.
I hear a lot of stories though too about, guys from outside the gym coming in to help you prep for your opponent, what have you. That's always a risk, or is that something you welcome?
I prefer it. I like, because there's no, how do I say this? I don't want to say like, oh, I'm trying to really fuck that person up or hurt them, but there's no obligation for me to like really take care of someone who's not my training partner. And I would tell them that, and you have more of the nerves of an actual fight where it's like, okay, I don't know what this person's going to do. They don't know what I'm going to do. It feels more real. It feels like there's more at stake, which is good. Because I think like you said, everything's mental. So it's like, how can I deal with the mental part? How can I simulate the mental part of it? Yeah. And the only way you can do that is like build those nerves with someone you're not comfortable with. Like, cause with Dustin,
you're trying to simulate a fight, right?
Right. Like with Dustin, like we push each other really hard, but I know he's never going to hurt me and I'm never going to hurt him. Yeah. But when you don't know that, you have the anxiety, you have the nerves more than you would regularly. And that's kind of what a fight is, right? Because you could have the best cardio in the world, but then you go and fight and people are like, man, your cardio is terrible. It's like, well, it's not the cardio. It's not the work. It's the anxiety. It's the nerves. It's all of those things that are kind of like your cortisol. Really it breaks down to dopamine or cortisol. If your cortisol is high, you get that like sluggish, tired. Like you felt that before where you're like, oh man, I just need to lay down. Yeah. As opposed to where you're like excited with your dopamine. And it kind of like the stuff I'm working on right now is like, how can you replace the cortisol reaction with a dopamine reaction?
How do you do that? Or how are you trying to learn how to do that?
So you just have to like create a routine. You have to find happy points almost instead of
mid camp, even between camps, or are you
well, so it's the difference between excitement and anxiety.
Okay.
They're very similar. There's a super fine line, right? And you wouldn't know the difference unless you start to journal and say, oh, I noticed the difference. And then you can refer back and be like, okay, well, here's where the miss.
Is that something you're doing?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I feel like I appreciate you saying that too, because I mean, look, I think there's this misconception with fighters. I've been around fighters for a while. And there's this thought of like, they all are supposed to be these hard ass, Neanderthal dudes and women who take no shit, can fight anybody at the drop of a dime. But I got to say that my experience, especially getting to know you in particular, is the complete opposite. You guys are usually the most level-headed people that I've ever met.
Yeah, I think I was talking to my parents about this, and this is maybe going to sound like a douche or something.
No, man.
But I just think once you like get to a certain point of training or ability or skill in anything, it almost is like if I were to fight somebody who's never trained or let my ego or my anger get the best of me, it does nothing really for me.
Yeah.
Cause like, it's almost like that's what's supposed to happen. It would be like, my parents asked me like, so I try to explain to them, like people don't realize the difference between a UFC fighter and someone who doesn't train.
Sure.
Right. And it would literally be like if I went and how I play with my 4-year-old daughter, that's what it would be like if somebody who doesn't train tried to fight somebody who's at the highest
level.
I've
got footage of grappling with Dustin that can testify that you're exactly right.
It's just crazy. And like fighting is one of the craziest sports in that regard because like people grew up and they played football or they played soccer. And so they have some idea of the sport and they understand the levels of the sport. If you played high school football, but couldn't play college football, you're like, man, college is way above my level. Those guys are really good.
That would be
let alone the NFL. If you played in the NFL and you played in high school, okay, there's a huge difference. Fighting for whatever reason, I think maybe just it's like a primal thing, especially for men, is like, oh, I can handle my own. I can fight. I can protect because that's what your goal is.
Yeah.
I have to be a protector. I have to be these things. And to admit that you can't do those things is like makes you less of a man.
Yeah.
So like, I always laugh when I go to shows. It's hilarious. Like you guys have been to live shows. It's hilarious to just walk, take a lap around the building.
This point before.
How many people are like,
flexing.
You have alcohol, you have fights going on, and how many people are like, I could get in there and do exactly what those guys are doing.
Yep.
But they have no idea, So I encourage people that if you've only been to a UFC event, I would encourage people to go to your local,
like a regional circuit,
your local regional show, and then see like first fight amateurs. Cause even those guys typically have trained more than the average Joe.
Oh, for sure.
And then see those guys and realize like those guys are probably closer to me than you are to them.
I completely understand what you're saying. And I think you're so spot on. You were in the middle of that point and I was thinking about how, I've talked with a couple of guys about this. When you walk around, I've been to probably 20 live UFC events. And it's just the most obnoxious hard asses walking around with the chest pumped out. And everybody thinks that you see more fights outside the card than you do on the card. It's bizarre.
Yeah. I remember when I fought in, I want to say Atlanta. So I'm walking out and like I was the first one to walk out. So
like on the early prelims? Okay.
No, I think I was like one of the later fights in the prelims, but yeah, prelims. So like I'm walking back and forth right before, and my opponent's walking out, and I always try to find my wife in the crowd. So I had found her, and then I just kind of look around, see what's going on. You're killing time because you're like, all right, we're about to fight. And I like notice like there's a fight happening in the crowd. I'm like, oh my God, that's insane.
Like you have the wherewithal to see it right there.
I'm like, oh my God, these guys are fighting right now. I'm like, oh my God, that guy just got his ass beat. That's crazy. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. I got to focus on like what I'm actually doing. But there's been a ton of fights where that's happened before. Like where I'm in Dustin's corner and I'm sitting on the thing. They're about to announce him. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are about to get in a fight right here. This is insane. Like,
I've been in various sections of an arena and it always seems to happen, dude.
I have a question. I have a question because I don't really go to fights anymore.
Sure.
Because I think
Why would you if you're not getting paid?
I just think, well, I've gone to some, and I've gone to two UFC events that I wasn't a part of.
Question.
Yeah,
this is great.
I've been to 2 UFC events that I wasn't a part of, and both times I was like, I left like feeling like kind of like gross, like about the fan base a little bit.
I'll dig into that with you.
And so as a fan, and like you're close to someone, right? So I always tell my family, I used to be like, oh, I want you to come to my fights. Now I tell them I don't want you to come. And I still have some family that comes. I'm like, okay, if you come, I don't want you to tell anyone that you're associated with me, because it's going to create issues for you. And they don't really understand, but I'm like, just don't, it'll be problems. Right. So as a fan who's like friends and very good friends with fighters, and you go and you're watching them and you've been there when it doesn't go their way. Sure. And so like emotions are crazy high, and you know what it's like how is that for you?
I mean, I appreciate you asking that, because I think it's a point that, look, this word comes up a lot, and it's the idea of what a casual fan is. I mean, I really hate that word, and I detest people who are casual fans, but of course, right? Like they pay money, right? They indirectly put the money in your pocket, so to speak.
For sure.
But I approach it a little bit differently, and then I'll answer it from the way that I think most people would say it. Like, so when I'm there, for instance, and you or Dustin or anybody else that we're good with, friends with, loses a fight, my main reaction or my immediate reaction is to find a way to go lift them up. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of people in the community, especially around you guys, because you guys are so well loved and so followed, that freak out, right? And they start to cry, and they start to, oh fuck, now the night's going to be ruined. And I kind of like walk around and try to rally the troops. Yeah. So my reaction is to be like, look, this guy, this gal, they're fucking professional athletes. They've lost before, right? They know what defeat feels like. If maybe they're undefeated, but they've lost rounds in the gym. Yeah. So I think everybody immediately goes to this place of like, oh God, now I got to go tell them I'm so sorry. Now I'll answer your question finally with another question. How much does it suck to have somebody after a fight walk up to you and say, I'm so sorry that happened? Yeah, I think it does suck. I think it's also kind of the idea of like, when we lose, I've lost anybody that I'm like close with, they always apologize. And it used to make me really mad, not mad, but just like, dude, you don't need to apologize. But then I slowly have realized that like, you're not saying sorry for like your performance, or you just don't have another way of being like, dude, I'm really disappointed. And I know you guys are disappointed. It's an awkward moment, to be honest. And so the only way I can like convey that I understand that we're all very disappointed is for me to apologize. Yeah. So I don't really say sorry anymore. Like I remember before, bro, I feel like my superpower is bouncing back from losses, but there's been a couple where like I've messaged Bobby and just been like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? Like, is this worth it anymore? How am I going to even like look at our kids? And like, she's very good about, like, who gives a shit? Like if you were a firefighter, if you were anything else, it wouldn't matter. But in that moment, you're like, dude, I know how much you've sacrificed, I've sacrificed. And it's not just that you're sacrificing time and resources and things like that. Yeah. Like obviously that is on the table. But the people that are really close to you, there is a difference. Like, and I don't think everyone says, I think if you talk to enough fighters, they'll tell you like, okay, if I lose a little piece of me. But when you win, you also still lose a piece. Like fighting is one of the craziest things in that way, that like the preparation, so much goes into it, so much emotion. And so like when you lose, you're always a little, or when you win even, you're always a little bit deflated and like, oh shit. It's not an 82 game season, dude. You guys lose a fight and it can totally adjust the trajectory of your career. And I try to make that point a lot to try and inform people, right? Like I'm not a fighter. So let me preface that. But what I'm saying is like, I could see how a fighter would think that it took a piece out of you. Like maybe you can't get back, but like, I love hearing you say that a superpower can be being able to bounce back. You know what I mean? Cause let's say you're healthy and at best you're going 3 fights a year. Maybe you're fucking Kevin Holland and you get 5 within 7 months, which is crazy. Insane, yeah. But I don't know, man. The ability to bounce back, I think, is one of the most unreal things about what you do, man. Because here's another thing, right? Everybody has the right to have a bad day in their respective office. It's unfortunate that, yours requires you to get fucking hit or, taken down. Well, I think the toxicity of fans is mostly just because of, I'm gonna be honest, it's just gambling in general. Okay. I think if you didn't have money on the line, because I've never had someone just slide my DMs who
I didn't later find out or knew in the moment that they had money on me. And I've had worse messages. Like, so this last fight, I was a favorite. I've only been a favorite twice in my career. Both times I've got the most hate in my career, I was the favorite and lost. So
really?
Like, so to me, I was like, correlation, obviously people are putting money because I'm a slight favorite.
Yeah.
I lose, they lose money. Now they're upset. So like part of it is the gambling culture. I mean, look at when all that stuff happened where they were potentially going to take gambling away because they were worried about fights being fixed.
Yeah.
How insane the UFC reacted to be like, no, we will do whatever it takes to like
regulate
sure
this.
You guys don't remove gambling because it's such a money making endeavor that I think the gambling aspect really makes people invested.
Yeah.
And so they don't know how to like cope with, I made a bad decision because I love it. People message me like, man, I lost my parlay. I'm like, that's cool, bro. I lost half my check.
That's what fucking Dustin said on the last episode.
Don't worry. I lost money too.
No one loses more. No one loses more than you guys. For the record, I don't gamble on MMA anymore. And I think what we're describing here is sort of a microcosm, just for a little 60-second aside. It's like a microcosm for the entire purpose of this podcast, man. I really just, Kelly and I both want to unveil what it means. You couldn't have done that quieter. Unveil what it means to be a fighter. And I think people know there are a large amount of people, the casuals, who know who Cody Brundage is because they threw you on their parlay, but they don't take the time to know what kind of fighting style you have, what your background is in, what happened in the last 4 fights outside of the win or the loss. Right. And that really pisses me off because you're talking about sort of what is it like in the crowd, the vibe in a crowd during when their fighter is losing. It's brutal. Yeah. And I shouldn't say this. Fucking, I'm going to say it. I hate MMA fans.
Oh yeah.
It's because for some reason, all they want to see, and look, I want to see the violence, dude. You want to give the violence, right? Like that's what the sport is about. But there's also an aspect of like understanding what it is you guys go through to get there and then who you are after the fight. I'm going to make this point on every fucking episode. I have the feeling I said it, on an episode we just recorded a couple days ago, but you're not gladiators, right? You're not fighting to gain your freedom, right? Like out of entrapment or out of servitude, right? You guys are actual human beings and you go home, you face your kids, your wife, your husband, whatever. So respect it for its violence, but also respect it for the sport that it is too. I don't know. Maybe as a fighter, you feel a little different about that.
No, I think for sure it's definitely like a sport. It's super high stakes. Like there's not another sport out there that's more high stakes.
Yeah.
Under the lights, in front of thousands of people, millions of people online, to be played forever, to be made into memes. Like, especially in this culture, like you're fighting another grown man in your underwear in front of your wife, your kids, and like to a lot of people, whether they'd admit that or not, and even to fighters, like that could be your worst fear at times, to be like, shit, bro, what if I get exposed? As like we talked about earlier, you're, especially for men, you're predetermined or pre-hardwired to be provider, protector, all of these things. What if I get exposed as not that to millions of people? And I remember when I first started fighting, I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily deal with that until they get to the UFC. When I first started fighting, I started my fighting career dating Bobby, who was in the UFC, who had tens of thousands of followers, who every show we went to, every fighter, my opponents are taking pictures with her. I'm like, dude, if someone beats my ass,
he's riding your coattails today.
I'm like, dude, I'm going to be ultra exposed.
Yeah.
And like the pressure of that. And then she wasn't fighting anymore, but then, okay, well, let me relax on the pressure. No, now I'm in the UFC. There's even more pressure. There's no stability in terms of like job security. Like this is at the end of the day, the way I provide for my family. Yeah. And so the stress that comes with, like, imagine if every job, like every week at your job, they gave you a performance review and you're like, nah, you might've had 4 great weeks, but this week was bad. If you do another bad week, you're fucked and you're out of here. Imagine that was your work environment, how you would be, because that is essentially what it is. It's like, dude, you did great 3 weeks in a row. You had a bad 3 days. If you do another bad 3 days, we're fucking getting someone else.
You're speaking my language, dude. I've been unemployed for a little bit, so I know exactly what you're fucking talking about. I did this podcast because I'm like, what am I going to do? And you bring up such a good point that I think is the one component of why like these fans that we're describing never truly give the right respect. And it's they don't understand the level of vulnerability that you're describing right now. It's necessary though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they understand any of fighting. They just think fighting is fighting.
How do you fight?
They're like, oh, I can fight. Like, have you seen the people? There's like one of my favorite pages on Instagram is the egg weights shadow boxing page.
Sure.
They'll go up to random people and they're like, oh, do you think if you got a fight, would you win the fight? They're like, oh, for sure. And then they're like, okay, here, take these egg weights. Show me in the next 20 seconds what you would do in a fight.
Okay.
And you watch these people and you're like, oh, you need to buy a gun because you would get fucked up if you fought somebody in the street, right? But these guys don't have any idea. They're like, hell yeah, I'll smash, and they believe it. So I don't think there's really any understanding of like the amount of training, the long-term effects, because that's something fighters don't talk about. Fighting is not like the NFL. It hasn't been around that long. It's not like boxing, but like you'll start to see here in the next like 10, 20 years,
more come out about that.
Just how it's not. I mean, it's not good.
No. And
it's not necessarily the fights. It's the everyday of training and taking head trauma. And like, it's just not good. It's
not the 15 or the 25 minutes.
Right. But the fighters know that. Like, you know what you're sacrificing. Me and Bobby talk about it all the time. It's like, okay, like we need to get out at this point before we're too far gone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a discussion that you have with your family, but people don't really understand that. They're like, oh yeah, this guy fights and he's this style, or this guy fights and he's good at this, he's bad at this, or this. And it's like, dude, it's just so much more that goes into the mental, the stress, the anxiety, the instability, the sacrifice from not just you, but the people. Like, I apologize to I say sorry. Like we were just talking about saying sorry. The only reason I say sorry is because I know what I'm putting my parents and my family and my wife through, and not to say like they want me to stop, but it is hard. They have come to fights and seen people be like, oh, your son's a pussy. Like they've been in the crowd, and shout out my mother-in-law real quick. She was throwing down in the crowd.
There we go.
They're saying this shit about me. But like, that's the point I'm making, is like, you don't know who you're sitting by, and then people go crazy. Like, we're
aware of that when we watch.
Yeah. Like no one knows who you are. Right. So they just, like, the things people say are like the worst things they can say about somebody who is your friend and who you're like, he's not that. You don't know this person. And you're already in this emotionally charged environment. Yeah. And so that's why I like tell my friends and family, I'm like, I would rather you just like be around each other, be there to support each other. And then I'm going to see you afterwards and we're going to have a good time.
I've, to even put it even more specifically, I mean, I've heard after a fight, thankfully it wasn't against, you or any of our other friends, but like, they're like, oh, fucking kill yourself. Shit like that. Yeah, for sure. Terrible things. You should see it.
I used to always laugh because I would always hear these like fighters be like, oh, I got this DM. And I'm like, that's not true. And then I started my career and I'm like, oh, wow, people are fucking terrible. Like I've heard just kind of like outlandish shit. And I think like there's a point where you don't want to be vulnerable. Like, I've been pretty vulnerable my whole career in terms of like, I feel like I've been very open about my home life, some of the struggles that we have, like with my oldest daughter and things like that, and put that out there. And I would still do that because I think there's more good that comes of that in terms of like, there's other people that struggle with those things that it helps them and I know it does, because when we were going through it, I would look to other people that were going through it that could give me some insight. But there's also a price that comes with being vulnerable and putting that out there that's on the negative end. And it's not a ton, but it's enough where you're like, do I want to put this out there anymore? And that sucks that you even have to really question that, because you would imagine like, oh, this would be a good thing, but it's not always. So
that's a really interesting topic. I want to save it for when we get Bobby on, because I wanted to dig into that with you guys a little bit. I wanted to go back to something that you were going around an area that I think is more individual to you. You were talking about sort of longevity in the fight game, right? I get worried because you are a fucking magnet for illegal elbows to the back of your head. I don't know what needs to happen with the fucking refs, and I want to talk to you about that specifically. But dude, what is the deal? There's a target on the back of your dome.
Yeah, I think so. I'll say this: like, I think I'm an intelligent fighter. I am. Like, I'm a smart fighter, and people will hate on me for this, but I think when I get in these positions, a lot of times, I know the rules of MMA. I'm an MMA nerd, right? I coach MMA. I love MMA. I watch MMA every weekend. So more than anything, more than just being a fighter, I'm a big fan of the sport.
Yeah.
So how can you exploit the sport?
Okay.
Well, I'm in on a single leg. I'm getting elbowed in the side of my head. Well, if I hide my head, theoretically, you're not allowed to hit me here.
But that's a strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that would be like high IQ. I'm going to hide in this position. Okay. Or if I'm rocked, this is a position I can hang out in and hide because you can't hurt me here.
Yeah.
not so much. Apparently you can hurt me there and hurt me very badly.
Yeah. And get 13 warnings.
And then what I won't do, and I don't care anymore. I used to really bother me because I've been hated on a lot for some of these results, but like, I don't have to look anyone in the eye after my fights except for my wife and my kids. And so these people that expect like, I'll get rocked, I'll be pretty badly concussed, and they'll be like, why didn't you just suck it up and fight? You're a fighter. Again, like, we're not gladiators. I'm not going to the death. I'm not going to continue. There was a fighter just recently this happened to. He got illegally kneed. They gave him his time and he was like, oh, I'm going to continue to fight. And then 30 seconds later, he was knocked unconscious on the...
I'm trying to remember. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
It was on the China card.
Okay.
Kiefer Crosby, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets killed, illegal knee, unconscious, bust him open, had no business continuing, continues, knocked out 30 seconds later. They took 2 points from the guy. Doesn't matter when you get knocked out. So it's like, I'm too smart. I won't do it. I won't put myself in an even more vulnerable position because fans are going to be mean to me online.
After the headbutt, you trusted that you were good to keep going. Was that 2 fights ago, or that was the last fight?
So after the headbutt, no, it was in Atlanta.
Yeah,
right. So I got the headbutt. It buzzed me, but I didn't feel out of it.
Yeah.
But I was covering up because I was like, okay, they're gonna give me 5 minutes. They're gonna pull this guy off. They're gonna see it as a headbutt. Because immediately I was like, it's a headbutt.
Okay.
They didn't give me 5 minutes though.
No.
Which honestly, I'm not mad about that because I think that should be standard. I think if you...
Who was reffing that?
It was a local Georgia guy. But I think if you have an illegal sequence that ends a fight, there shouldn't be 5 minutes. There's a reason you waive the fight off.
Yes.
Right? So because you thought there was too much damage for the person to continue. And then this is where my problem is with the refs. Don't ask me, the potentially concussed person that just got put unconscious, if I want to continue fighting. Go, like, it's the most insane thing. You can't talk to my corner. Go ask them. They know me better than anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Let me communicate with my corner. Let me figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but they like try to shut that line of communication out, which makes no sense. It doesn't benefit anybody. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't regret. I at one point I was like, man, maybe I should have but I don't regret any of that because the stakes are too high. I'm not going to get I've never been put unconscious. I'm not going to start because I want to prove I'm tough. No one is fighting in general that's a pussy, and no one is fighting in the UFC that isn't tough. So, like I said, and the other thing is, like, I know these fans don't give a fuck about me. So I'm not putting myself, my health, because again, so after the last one, when I got elbowed in the back of the head in Denver, it was like probably a month to like 6 weeks where I was it was rough. And like, no one has to see that except for my wife, except for my kids. Yeah. So I'm less than because of what happened. Yeah. So I'm getting all this hate online, but no one sees that except for them. And then, so for 6 weeks, it was just tough. And then I was like, I'm not going to fight again. That's when I took 8 months off. I remember. And it's like, I need to just take this time and figure out what I want to do. But yeah, I don't regret any of that. I think
that's the problem that I have though, with this whole idea of warnings. I mean, I've seen a ref give out in one fucking round 3 warnings. And then, I can't remember which fighter said it exactly, but there was this idea brought up of like, what is the point of a warning? Like, it's either illegal or it's not. If it's a groin hit, right, that can be inadvertent, and you can typically, especially with replay, tell. But an elbow to the back of the head isn't fucking usually inadvertent, right? Unless you're in the mix of I would assume a scramble. I'm not going to act like, I know the real life situation.
Well, I would say it's not in it. I would say a groin strike is about the only inadvertent foul because the way that you move, potentially your orthodox southpaw, there's some nuance there. But like an eye poke isn't inadvertent. Your fingers, they tell you in the bag, don't extend your fingers. Yeah. So you can't inadvertently extend your fingers. They just are, they aren't. Yeah. Right. So like, another thing is like, if you got 3 warnings in one round, then that's your 4th warning, because backstage, they all come back to you and say, every fighter that's ever existed, guarantee they've had this talk. I'm your ref for tonight. What I'm going to tell you is your first and only warning. This is your hard warning. If you go out there and commit a foul, I'm calling it right away. It never happens. Yeah. It's just, I mean, there's a lot of things in MMA that I think are kind of ridiculous. I think the warnings are ridiculous. I think the weight misses that people are allowed to have, and they're like, oh, I'll pay you 10 20%. Grand or whatever it is. It's like, dude, no one is going to worry about, because no one's going to worry about missing weight if it's just a matter of money. You get to a certain point where you're either making enough money that it doesn't matter, or you're making so little money that 10% is nothing. Like when I fought that kid in Atlanta, he was on his first contract. And I was like, I'm not taking 20% of a $10,000 purse because not to be like, oh, I'm super rich, but $2,000 to me is not worth it for you to miss weight by 3 or 4 pounds.
Yep.
Right. And so, but then again, this is the problem. It's always on the fighter. You said no to a fight. Well, you missed weight by 5 pounds. You still said no. You're a pussy. You're scared. It's not going
to be just 5 pounds though, is it?
No. Well, 5 pounds
plus whatever you gain back.
So 5 pounds is the hardest. The last 5 is hard. Yeah. That's when it sucks. I mean, I can get down within 5 pretty easy. But it's just, there's some things with MMA that won't change. I don't think, because it's just kind of the culture of
Adesanya said it before. He was making a comment about 3 years ago, right before his little skid that he's been on. He said it to Dana, actually. He was like, you've got to start, penalizing these guys more than 20% because it's not an accident. It's a fucking strategy.
For sure. Well, I watched it with my wife. She fought Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern missed weight by 7 pounds.
She's done that several times.
We were pretty ignorant as coaches. At least I was, because looking back, granted, I was only an amateur fighter at the time, but if I was who I was now, we would have never took that fight. Yeah. I would have been like, we're not doing that. It's not good for you. I know it's hard because we're in Brazil and you've cut all the weight and you're on weight and you had a 12-week camp and you busted your ass. You did everything right, but it's such an advantage that you can't do it. Right. In the moment you say yes, because of all those things. Yeah. But looking back, like that was a learning lesson for me that I'm like, I won't give someone that advantage.
It is an advantage too, right?
I think they should take a point. I think you should start the fight a point down.
That's an interesting thought. I've never gone down that road
and before. I think after the fight, you should be suspended for, depending on the weight miss, between 6 months and a year. And I think that would curb a lot of people.
A banned substance warrants in some instances 6 to a 2-year suspension. 10 pounds,
then think you're losing. So you lose 1 round to start.
Yeah. And
you still pay your 20%. You lose a round and then you can't make money for up to a year potentially. Yeah. You're going to curb people's willingness to do that because of all those things.
I mean, the first battle in any fight, right, is the weight cut.
For sure. That's what they say. Good job on the hard part. I always laugh when people say that. I don't think that's the hard part. I think the hard part is the fight. But people are always like, dude, you're a wrestler, you did the hard part. I'm like, the hard part is fighting this.
I mean, you've been cutting
my underwear tomorrow.
You've been cutting weight how many years? I mean, I couldn't imagine.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, I also am like a big proponent of like, don't cut a ton of weight. Yeah. I don't cut a ton of weight. I diet pretty well in my camps. Outside of camp, I'm a lunatic, but in camp,
okay. I was going to take you to Wendy's after this. So we're still good. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Out of camp, I'm an idiot, right? That's probably one part of my game I could definitely shape up, but in camp, I've been pretty consistent. My last camp, I think I was down on weight cut day. I was like 190 pounds, which is nothing to people. Like it's an easy cut. I did like a 30-minute bath. I was on weight. It was the easiest weight cut I've ever had. And that's kind of where Dustin's at too. Like he doesn't cut a ton of weight because when you get to the best in the world, it's just diminishing returns. Like everyone's good. It doesn't matter what weight class you're at. So like killing yourself to get down to another weight to fight someone who's very good.
Who do you think is the biggest guy you've fought in the cage?
Oh, my Contender Series fight. Yeah. But I was at 205 for that fight.
I mean, those guys come in at 230
But I fought William Knight, who he was the biggest dude I've ever seen. He was about 5'9". He walked in the cage sideways. I swear to God, he was
the biggest dude you've ever seen was 5'9".
He was as wide as his table. He was as wide as his table. For reference, he fought a fight in the UFC at heavyweight before he got cut. Wow. And he weighed 253 pounds.
He's like Jared Cannonier. That guy's fought at every weight division.
He was gigantic. So like he was the biggest dude I fought in my career. I think at 185, the biggest guy I fought. Yeah, he was very muscular.
Say who she said?
Dolce. Okay. The kid I Hail Married that guillotine on. He was very large. He was a large human. I think the kid I fought in Atlanta was very big. Yeah. But everyone at 85 kind of, I don't ever feel too small really at that weight. I usually walk in the cage around 203, which is pretty average, I think, for the weight class.
You think you stay at this weight class?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I like my there's a couple things that go into it. I really like my matchmaker. He keeps me super busy. If I go down, I have a different matchmaker. Okay. I don't know how busy he keeps me.
You're interrupting the recording.
Show Mike the picture. Let me see.
We could cut it out.
Yeah.
We need to put a picture of a mid-pod because he's
Oh my my God. Okay.
Yeah, he was enormous.
We're coming back in. The guy that you're talking about, I said, how could a 5'9" guy be big? He looks like a fucking monster. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wait, that wasn't at 185.
205. There's my contender.
He just fought too, actually.
No. He's out now.
Really?
Yeah, he's cut.
He's cut?
Yeah. He had like 6 fights in the UFC.
Yeah, he probably works in a quarry or something with no tools.
Yeah, he's a large human. That was probably, but in that fight, I had a really good fight, man. I was kind of taking it to him and then lost. It was like winning 4 minutes of a fight, lose 15 seconds and you lose the fight. So
you say that so casually. And I know we opened up, this episode with kind of talking about the last 6 fights and how wacko they've been.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to save one part of this question for Bobby too, but you say your superpower is coming back, but I got to be honest, the couple of these losses in the last 6, I really don't think you lost.
Yeah.
Does that help?
I think that helps. I think I have so many things going for me, man. I feel like I have such good support around me that it's really hard. And I'm living like as hard as it is sometimes. This is my dream. Like when I was like, if you would have told 17-year-old Cody I was doing this, one, he'd be like, I'm not fighting. You're an idiot. But if you would have told 23-year-old Cody who had just started fighting, because I always had a ton of belief behind me, but not necessarily in myself, from myself. Yeah. I had people telling me like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to make it. But I never really felt that way. I just felt like, oh, my best friends are doing this. The girl I love is doing this. This is like something that connects me to these people.
Yeah.
It was never with the intent of like, I'm going to get to the UFC. And then when I got to the UFC, it was never like, oh, I'm going to have a long career in the UFC. It was just kind of like, man, I really love doing this sport. I've been a fan of MMA forever. And so really loving this makes it easy to be like, this is what I want to do.
Do you think there's a necessary like sense of uncomfortability with it in order to succeed? Like, I guess let me phrase it a different way. Like by getting too comfortable, maybe you're not pushing yourself to the brink that you need to accomplish everything you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a piece of that. I think like being uncomfortable is hugely important for anyone in any field that wants to be successful. I think in fighting, the whole thing is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like uncomfortable. Like if you were going to go skydiving, how it's uncomfortable, but then you're like,
because the sacrifices are massive.
Yeah.
Or the potential
risk
is
reward
massive.
is massive, but like there's this huge buildup. You're like, okay, what are we going to do? And I think they're probably pretty similar. I think any like adrenaline type thing is like that. And like, fighting is truly like one of the only things I think that you can really just like bare your soul to people.
Yeah.
Without words, without just in like what
true.
You're
it's
doing.
Raw.
It's so true and raw. And I think that's why it's so, for me, there's nothing like it. Like I'll find something after this, right? But it will be difficult. It will be hard because to replicate this, I feel is damn near impossible. I mean, there's just not many things.
It's a chase like a drug, isn't it?
It is. And I'm like, I've been very fortunate in my life. I've never been addicted to anything. Like I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big gambler. I'll throw money out every now and then, but I'm not a big gambler. I've never really been addicted to any drugs. Like I've never had that personality. But when it comes to not just fighting, but I think the biggest addiction in my life, my whole life, has been competing. And I think it's because there's such a measuring stick to myself of like, okay, what did I do this camp? Was I a good dad? Was I a good teammate? Was I a good husband? Now am I a good fighter? And like, I can measure those things and really grade myself. Like, am I actually becoming, and in that is like, am I becoming a better version of Cody Brundage? Am I going to be a better person because of that? And fighting gives me an outlet to kind of measure all of those things, but there's not many things that do that. Otherwise it's kind of mundane. There's no like, it's like, okay, I'm going through life. Life's dope. I love it. But everything this is the status quo.
It's crazy to me that you said it in that order, dad, husband, and then at the end you say fighter. And you were talking about in reference of a measurement of camp success. Like, I think that's what the casual misses, right? Like you're not, I don't know. I guess let me ask a question about it. Like, I hear a lot of these guys who get up on the mic, right? They're going to a face off and then they're like, this is everything for me. It's do or die. I'm in there willing to yada, yada. And the game, right, that they're talking sounds huge. It's like, Jesus, they're living this life and it's all they got.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying, and I don't want to speak for you, but the reality feels like there is something outside of it. And maybe that can make you a better fighter than act as a distraction.
For sure. I think there's two parts of that. So firstly, before every fight, I asked my wife, we've done this since I was an amateur, but I'm like, what's my worst case?
Yeah.
And she's like, you come home, you have 2 kids that love and adore you. You have a wife that loves and adores you. You have a great family. You have great support. And your life's not that much different. And then I can be like, yeah, you're right. This fighting thing is something I'm choosing to do and I love doing it. Now let's go do it. Instead of being like, fuck, how are you going to think about me if I lose? And I never have to question that ever. And then secondly, if I'm checking my boxes, right? And this is part of the mental work I've done my whole career, is like, if I'm being a good dad, if I'm being a good husband, a good teammate, friend, if I check all those boxes, then fighting it's self-fulfilled. If I do all of those things, I'm going to be successful
in the work, of course.
I will.
Yeah.
I will be successful on fight night if all of those things are checked. And that doesn't mean win or loss, but I will leave feeling like, okay, that was success. Because fighting, to measure your success in fighting based off wins and losses is, you'll be sad a lot, because it's just not that easy. It's not a sport where the favorite or the better prepared or the better fighter wins 9 out of 10 times. It's a 50-50 at best shot. And you know that going in. So if you're measuring success off of 50-50 odds, you're going to be upset a lot. And you're going to feel very unsuccessful. So I've gotten away. I didn't always feel that way, but I've gotten away from that because it's just not a true measurement of if you're being successful or not. And the other things, am I being a good dad? Am I being a good husband? Am I being a good friend and teammate? Yeah. Those are truly measurable. If I'm doing those, I'm being successful.
Yeah. This is exactly why I wanted to talk to you, Cody, because I knew that you would give me the right responses like that, because dude, I feel like that's what's missing in the casual viewing of this sport and experiencing of this sport, is that all everybody looks at is just for you to go out and pull a Khabib and go 29-0. And it's just like, yes, that's legacy shit. That's legendary shit. But if you took the time to hear the shit that you're talking about, which I'm so thankful that you are, I feel like the sport would grow even more.
Yeah, I did a speech for the team a while ago. Like, we always have end of the year speakers, and I was fortunate. Coach asked me to do it. And it took me a long time to kind of come up with what I wanted to talk about. But the theme of the end of the year party was legend and legacy. Just kind of what you were just talking about. And I kind of got to like this conclusion that legend and legacy are two very different things. I think like legends, there's some real legends that I would never want to be like.
Can you throw some names out for me?
Yeah, like John Jones.
Okay.
He's a legend. I don't think many people that come in contact with John Jones would say he's a very good person. Right. And I don't know him.
I don't either.
But general consensus, not the best dude, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of people like that. You can name different people like that you're like, okay, this person's a legend in whatever their field is. Yeah. But you're like, he's kind of a prick, but
their legacy could be checkered or something. He's
not necessarily a great dude, or he has a checkered past. And that doesn't make you a terrible person, but being a legend doesn't mean that you have a good legacy, right? If you have a good legacy, it's like when you're gone, how are people going to talk about you? Yeah. How are people going to describe like this person did these things for me, made me feel this way? Is it going to be a positive thing or a negative thing? So you can not be a legend and have an amazing legacy. Okay. And you can be a legend and have a total shit legacy.
Jim Miller, I don't know if I'd call him a legend, but his legacy is absurd. 100, 200, UFC 300. That's insanity to me.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Dustin the other day, Dustin's a great fighter. He could be a legend, right? He's a legend for me. Yeah. Worldwide, he could be a legend, but his legacy, the way he makes people feel, the way people just love that guy. Yeah. That's so he has that over any legend that I know. Yeah. I don't know people that have Uber drivers show up to their fights because they're such good people. It doesn't happen. Right. So like I would rather have a legacy like that than be considered a legend.
I think you're in the midst of one, bro. That's why I'm lucky to talk to you, because you're willing to go into these areas of conversation. I think a lot of fighters, fortunately, if I can interview them, I don't know if they'll go to the places that you're willing to go. And the fact that you ground yourself as, first and foremost, a husband and a father, dude, That's character. And that is the shit of legacy, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. We're getting told that we're going to bring Bobby on in a minute. So we're going to take a little break and we're going to get down to the real badass in the house. We'll be back.